Hey everybody, welcome back to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm Dr. Fabiana, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important things to grow your income, which is actually not growing your income, but increasing your profitability. You see, ultimately what matters is not how much money you make, but it's also about how much you get to keep. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you the top strategies on how you can increase your bottom line. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about a very important topic that can literally make or break your financial success, which is not how much money you make, but how much money you get to keep, profit margins. One of the biggest confusions that musicians have when it comes to thinking about income goals is putting these ballpark numbers on how much would you like to make and how much would you need in order to create XYZ ABC result in your life. And even though it's helpful to envision a target number of what your income goals are and what are the motivations for those income goals, most importantly, it's important that you also assess what will it cost for you to create those income goals and how much do you actually want to keep after you have reached those income goals. So if you want to generate, let's say $100,000, it's important that you have an understanding of what will it take for you to get to that goal and how much would you need to also account for in terms of operating costs, business costs, team costs, coaching costs, advertising costs, every additional cost that you need to incur in order to reach that financial milestone will make a difference. Because at the end of the day, if you're not aware of making calculated decisions around what investments to make in your business that will increase your not only revenue, but also bottom line, if you just go about building your business and constantly adding more expenses, you may actually find yourself quite worried of having flipped the chart the other way around, meaning being at a loss and being in a position where you are spending more than you are making. Let's talk about some strategies that will help you create a very clear focus and knowing how to make sure that every decision you make around investing in your business is going to create lasting results and actually become an investment rather than a cost that drains your profits. Why is it important to look at margins? Because at the end of the day, if you want to make $100,000, chances are you're going to need to aim for a much higher revenue goal. If you want to keep $100,000, you're going to need to make $300,000 or $500,000, depending on what your profit margins are. And so it's important that you establish that from the get-go. How much do you want to create? How much do you want to generate? But also, how much do you want to take home from that income? And what is important about that ultimate take-home amount? I am not a stranger for investing. I don't think you want to be extremely conservative in investing in your business. I personally have made most of my own business jumps and leaps of faith from investing in mentors myself to starting businesses, to investing in team and advertising, all the things that are part of business growth. I've never been ready in order to make the investment. I've always made the investment to get ready later. And I've had to find ways to become scrappy, resourceful, leverage resources from one place, take them to the next, use my, network of supporters, friends, families, everyone that can support me, I have tapped into in order to always be able to either get ideas, information, resources, and not limit my decisions based on what I had available to myself, but instead based on the long-term understanding of how this investment, how this expense, whatever it is, can eventually bring me better results in my business, how this can turn things around and over the long term create more growth. And yes, there have been moments where the profit margins have been very, very thin and sometimes even in the opposite side, but it's been also part of a calculated risk and a choice that I've had to learn to make in order to know when is the downside coming and what is the upside that I'm actually going to build to after this. So this isn't about saying that you can never fluctuate your profit margins and they always need to be profitable. And unless you have a wide margin, you're not in a healthy place. That's not true. I've experienced many ups and downs, and I'm sure most of you have as well. But it's about being able to decide, okay, where do I make this the stopping line? Where do I decide, okay, I can do this and I should not do that? That's what I want to help you discover today, because ultimately your ability to make these calculated risks will ultimately help you build your business to stand the test of time, to be lasting results, to create lasting results, and to be something that will give you the ultimate goal of freedom in your life. If what you want is to build a business that becomes an asset to your life, meaning a source of empowerment, a source of choice making, a source of possibility, if you want to have the freedom of living in certain places and not having to be tied to being in a physical place, physical city, physical day and time, you want to have more autonomy over your schedule, over your choices, over your income, over the people you get to work with. All of those choices are going to be based on how you build your business. And if your business is tying you for potential, tying you for limitations, trapping you, if you will, because of the way you've structured the operating costs, the financial costs, the marketing costs, the sales costs, then you're always going to feel trapped in the business instead of freed by it. So my goal is that you build a business that can ultimately, if you build it like I encourage you to build it in this entire podcast, ultimately the goal is that you can put your music business on autopilot. You can create a system that gets results for your clients. You can create a framework that allows your clients to learn about your philosophy, to learn about your strategies, to access your brain with still customization, in-person touch points, but through asynchronous instruction, asynchronous touch points, meaning sending you resources, maybe videos with questions, and you can send videos back, maybe meeting you in a weekly group masterclass where they can take turns asking you questions, like in office hours where they take hot seats, creating multiple touch points where you can connect with your clients, but not have to be only face-to-face with them in order to get results. If you can build that type of business infrastructure, a business model, ultimately you're going to find that your business becomes your catalyst for freedom. It gives you the possibility to control your schedule, to live your life on your own terms. But it's going to be critical that you understand how to build a profitable business, even if there are seasons in the journey where you're not necessarily profitable, you're just breaking even, or sometimes you're at a negative. What should be the way to kind of start looking at your business growth? First of all, is having a very thorough understanding of your expenses. What are the costs that you are currently incurring that are required for you to deliver your services to your clients? Can you take a step of auditing these costs or having someone on your team audit these costs on a regular basis? If you are like most online entrepreneurs or most entrepreneurs in general, chances are you use a variety of tools, services, subscriptions, products, offers that you've gotten involved with down the line. And many of these are automatically getting billed on your account and recurring subscriptions on a month-to-month basis. And it's easy for these little tiny subscriptions or bigger subscriptions to get lost in your credit card statements. And sometimes you stop using those services, those programs, and you're still paying for them. I know I've caught myself in many instances finding that I had been paying for something that I wasn't even using. And so the way I go about it now is I've built accountability systems, and I have a team member that looks through all of my expenses once a month and gives me a report. These are the things we need to keep, and these are the things we should let go of. And, I still go from time to time and try to get a deeper understanding of what these are, but I've created a framework. And again, whether it's you doing this right now or someone on your team, is having at the very minimal a monthly audit of all the things you're spending on your business and asking yourself, should I keep this? Should I delegate this? Should I remove it altogether? How critical are these expenses in relationship to my goals? Once again, as in everything I share in these podcast episodes, knowing what your goals are matters. Because if you're unclear of where you're headed, what is the next milestone you're trying to achieve in your business, then it'll be hard for you to make the right decisions regarding what to cut and what to keep. So let me take a step back and reiterate how important it is that you have your own inner compass, that clarity that will guide you in making sure that whatever you are spending your money on and investing in is actually going to align to the goals you're trying to set up in the first place. If they're not, that's already a red flag that you should scrap that expense off and just eliminate it, okay? Now, the other thing you want to do is remember that your income will also be directly related to your pricing structure. The pricing structure that you generate in your business, if you are focusing on building an income stream that is tied to your time. You're earning income through one-on-one lessons, or you're gigging exclusively and your income comes through performing opportunities, traveling, being on stage, or you are limiting yourself to a kind of 9-to-5 position with a salary that has no growth opportunities and you're kind of going paycheck to paycheck. No matter how much you try to grow your revenue, it's not going to really ultimately get you to your destination, because the model you are working with, the pricing structure you're offering, and the framework of your delivery, your services are going to keep you trapped. Meaning, even if you raise your prices, if you're still teaching one-on-one, you're always going to have a ceiling because there's only so much time you can trade. I hear so many times musicians who say, oh, I'm so frustrated with my business because I'm absolutely working day in and day out. I can no longer put any more hours in it. And yet I haven't reached my financial goals. I don't know what else to do. Well, the reason why that happens is because you're just spending all your time trading it for a specific hourly rate, and then you're stuck with the ability to actually generate more income based on your expertise. So that's the first switch that I want to encourage you to make sure that if you're trying to create your additional revenue, make sure you're creating it with the right model, the right format of your business, and the right price point strategy. One of the ways that you can boost your profitability right now is not only making sure that you have the right model, but also that your price point reflects the value of what you are providing. So if you are not able to communicate really what is the value of your services and how do those results transform your clients' lives, then it'll be very difficult for you to convey with passion, with certainty, with conviction, the price point that you may want to raise your prices to. And people may ask you, hey, what does it look like to work with you? How can I work with you? And if you are unclear on how to communicate the value of what you're doing in a way that conveys truly how it can help your clients, chances are you're going to stay charging the lower prices, and you're going to reserve yourself and hesitate and have that fear that they may say no. In order for you to consider changing your price point and elevate your structure and everything you've been doing to create more profitability and more income in your business, not only will it be important that you have a clear understanding of the best model and the best price point, but also why your unique services more than are valued for that new price point. Typically, what I like to tell the musicians that I guide in this process of raising your prices and looking for ways to increase your profitability on both ends of the spectrum, right? Through cutting costs, reducing unnecessary expenses, but also revising your pricing structure and potentially redesigning how much you charge for your services, is that unless you have that clear understanding of the fact that you are never going to charge what your services are worth, you're never going to charge what you are worth. Why? Because you are priceless. You don't have a price tag. It's impossible for you to actually charge what you're worth. The other part is that if your services can help your clients win back their time, because now they get to learn in 6 months what used to take them a year to learn if they were just seeing you one-on-one lessons. Now they see you online. They're able to meet with you multiple times throughout the week through the live weekly group masterclass. Maybe you can send them videos back and forth. You can be connecting with them asynchronously throughout the week. All of a sudden, what used to take them a year to learn, now they can learn in 6 months. You're ultimately giving back your clients their time, and that is priceless. Or if you give your students the skills to become better leaders, better communicators through their understanding of music or performance-related skills, or even managing anxiety, performance anxiety, if your program can help your clients become better versions of themselves and develop lifelong skills that can help them succeed in other areas of their life, which we know as artists and creatives and musicians and music educators, we know that the value of what we provide to our students way extends whatever hourly rate we're asking for, right? They get lifelong skills that they can transfer for other areas of their life for the rest of their life. Even as they become adults, they always remember, oh, I had a music teacher when I was a kid who taught me all these things. I'll never forget it. I wish I never would have quit. How many times have you heard these adults say, oh, I wish I would have never quit music when I was a kid. I learned so much. I wish I would have stayed. Those are signs that the things you do will totally transcend whatever transaction you choose in terms of a price point. Whatever price point you end up choosing will never be exactly equal the value you're providing. Your value will far extend whatever price point you choose because of the impact in the rest of their lives that your clients will have because of those services. So don't stress out so much about the price point. That's the bottom line. Like, don't worry about it so much because ultimately it's going to come down to your level of confidence. How clear are you about the value? How can you communicate with conviction to your clients what they're going to get as a result of working with you? And how can you go about raising your prices from that place of true belief, confidence, and certainty? Yes? So why is this connected to today's episode? Because yes, raising profitability comes from both ends of the spectrum. It's cutting costs, it's being able to understand what should you invest and what should you not invest on. There are 3 categories that you're going to want to always invest in your business and budget for. And there may be other things you want to cut, but these 3 things I'm going to tell you right now, you are never going to want to cut. First thing you're going to need to always invest in your business is in skill set. You need to learn skills in order to grow. You will not be able to create a successful business if you always do what you've done and somehow expect a different result. Einstein called that the definition of insanity, right? If you are always doing the same thing and expect a different outcome, that's insanity. So number one is, if you are serious about growing your business, you are going to always want to invest in learning the skills that you need to grow your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's leadership, whether it's a combination of all those three. But having a budget for continuous education. I've been working with mentors since my very first venture in 2011, and I have never stopped. I've always found ways through, the different institutions I've been affiliated with, and then eventually investing through, my own resources, and always finding the people who are doing what I want to do and learning from those who've done it already, rather than trying to learn everything myself and somehow expect that I could grow. It's not because I don't think I'm capable, and I don't think you would stop yourself because you're incapable. It's about speed. It's about shortcuts. It's about how much do you want to spend? How much time are you willing to spend and waste by reinventing the wheel when it's already been done before? Why not invest in saving back your time in order to get to the results faster? So number one, always make sure that you are seeing investing in skill set acquisition as one of the top expenses that your business should always have accounted for. Now, the second one is team. Now, hear me out. I've heard so many times my clients say, oh, I would love to have a team member, but I don't have clients yet. I don't have a business yet. I don't have this yet. I don't know what to do. In order for you to get to that next stage in your business, the quicker you can start hiring at least a part-time virtual assistant that you can get very accessibly, especially overseas. You can find people that can work for you for amazing, amazing rates that are very, very capable, that will more than be able to fit in your budget, even if it's just 5 to 10 hours a week. There is no excuse to not building a team from the day one. Let me tell you a story. Most of the times where I meet entrepreneurs and I'm working in networking and surrounding myself through my own mentorship program that I'm involved with, I network with entrepreneurs who are making 7, 8, even 9 figures a year. I always love asking this question, which is, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you started? What would you have done differently? And almost always the answer I get is, I wish I would have let go of control sooner. I wish I would have delegated sooner than I did. I wish I would have realized that I don't have to be Superman or Superwoman and do it all myself until I reached a breaking point before I started getting help. I wish I would have reached out for help sooner. And that is very, very enlightening, because I feel the same way. I remember starting my first business, and my guides and mentors were telling me, you need to start with like at least 2 assistants who can come part-time each. And I remember welcoming them in my music academy. The first week we opened our doors, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you to do. I'm just going to start training you and figuring out, but I literally don't know how to get you to help me. I can't help you help me yet, because I don't know how to delegate all the things that I'm used to doing myself. But I decided to make it happen anyway. And little by little, together, we co-created their roles so that they can take stuff off my plate. The first time around, I was more diligent in following my mentors. The second time around, I was not so diligent. Somehow I still had the superwoman syndrome, or at least I aspired to have that syndrome. And I was running a university program, taking care of my newborn and my 5-year-old and the husband and the other business, doing all the things. And I started my online business. And yes, I invested in mentorship. I absolutely did that. Even before I had my first client, I absolutely knew that there were skills that I did not have, and that I was unwilling to waste my time and take time away from my family, especially my newborn and my 5-year-old at the time, to try to reinvent the wheel and try to wing it and try to throw spaghetti at the wall and hope that something sticks. No, thank you. I knew that if I were going to be taking time away from my family, which is my most important priority, and especially at that time where I was so split in so many different directions, I was going to use it following a proven model. So I surrounded myself by peers, by colleagues who were building their businesses online as well. I invested in mentorship, but what I didn't do is I did not invest in help. And it took me over a year before I decided I need to hire an assistant to start helping me in the implementation. The reason because I did that partly was because I'm a quick learner. Probably you are too. And I love learning new things. And I got excited to learn about email marketing, about graphic design, about video editing, about all these new skills that we need to learn when we start building an online business. And I thought I could just quickly learn and implement. And I would learn something and I would implement. I would keep myself busy all day long, but I wasn't being productive, right? So if I could go back and do it all over again, I would give you the same answer that everyone I ask tells me, which is I would have delegated way sooner than I did. So for you, my goal is to save you the hassle and the trial and error you're listening to this podcast, go ahead and prioritize not only investing in your skill sets, but also investing in team. It is an investment. It is not a cost. It's important that you're able to make the distinctions. There are things you're going to put on your business that are costs, and those are associated with operating costs, right? What it costs for you to deliver your services. And then there are other aspects that are investments. Why? Because when you invest, you create more resources down the line because of that investment. So skill set, team, and the third one is advertising. Now, hear me out. I am not in favor of starting a business and going into the advertising route right away. Why? Because until you don't have a proven model, a framework that you know is resonating with your ideal clients, that they're responding to, that they're coming in and getting results and you're getting testimonials, and you know the market is already responsive to your ideas, until you don't have some proof of concept, putting money behind that concept that is unproven can be a dangerous path, a slippery slope where you may end up trying to put gasoline on a fire that is not really lit, right? Think about it that way. You want to start your business first organically. That's my top recommendation. Get some first few clients through your existing network. Of course, you have to have a solid messaging strategy, but you want to ideally build your business organically to begin with. And once you start seeing results, once you start testing things out, then you can start investing in advertising and putting money behind your business and the messaging and the ads and all the things that you're going to do to bring new people into your ecosystem, not before. But nonetheless, whether you do this within a few months of starting, or I didn't start investing in advertising almost 2 years into running my business. Until then, I was doing everything organically, and all the musicians that I work with, they all start organically and they stay organically until they get to at least 5 or 6 figures. In many cases, they're able to start building their businesses completely without advertising. But obviously, once they start getting results, it is a good idea to start amplifying that, putting gasoline to the fire. So I don't think you need to delay that once you start getting some clients, but definitely I don't agree with the idea of investing in ads to begin with. If you are going to look at investments and costs in your business, what are the most important ones? Hands down, investing in skills, knowledge, acquiring new habits, new strategies, information that you don't have, investing in team to be able to delegate, outsource, and finally, investing in putting yourself in front of new audiences, advertising, putting yourself in front of audiences that haven't seen you before, that are going to be able to benefit from learning about your framework and everything you're doing. So I hope this episode gives you some ideas on what you can do on both ends of the spectrum, from raising your income to cutting down costs, ultimately with the goal of increasing your bottom line. When you're able to subtract how much you made from how much it took for you to make that, what were the costs that you incurred, and what is your ending net income, that's the one you're going to want to focus on and not lose track on, and not freak out when it fluctuates. As I said, I've had many times where that net bottom line feels like a nonprofit, if you know what I mean. Even though I've created 2 for-profits, many times it sounds like it's a nonprofit. It looks like a nonprofit, even though it is a for-profit. Don't let that derail you, but know that it's important that you keep a close eye and you know what you're doing and you're steering your ship with clarity, direction, and intentionality. Let me know what your takeaways are from this episode. I hope it helps. Go build a profitable business, and until next time, let's prosper together.